Hello, welcome to Mahala Monday. Fantastic to have you along with us. Good evening. It is nighttime, isn't it?
It is, Dougal. Not dark yet, but it is nighttime.
And I say it's evening because it's under the cloak of darkness. No, I'm just messing.
I was just going to say, is winter getting to you? Starting now?
Little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. But welcome to Mahala Monday. Thank you very much for being with us. As always, we'd like to ask you to like and subscribe because we want you to be part of it. It's an interactive show. So we look forward to your questions and comments. And tonight's episode, you don't want to miss because this is beyond interesting. This is beyond the bit where we're all going to have to talk about this. But also there's going to be some great tips for you and definitely something that we all live with right now, and it is something that happens all the time. Now, I am no expert in this, but Rhoda is.
Is that so? Yeah, right. Definitely not. Good evening, Dougal. I'll say good evening, viewers. Welcome to Mahala Monday. Looking forward to the topic as well, Dougal. So, guys, make sure you got your coffee, your tea, your glass of wine, your plate of food ready because it is a very interesting topic and it's something that affects all of us. You know, somehow you'll know somebody that was obviously affected by this in some way.
Yeah, and what are we talking about? But we are talking about what has been happening. For many years, you would have heard the stories of vehicles being hijacked, vehicles being stolen from a parking lot, whether you are at the mall or just from your private residence. It doesn't matter. But when it comes to automobile theft, it is definitely something we've all heard about. And maybe you are one of those people, unlucky people, I should add, that have been a victim of having your vehicle stolen or even hijacked. So it is important for us to be aware of it, to look out for signs, and maybe there's tips. And also what has been happening lately, we always hear of how technology is advanced. Now, what are criminals doing in terms of new technology that they implemented? Because look, cars are very different now in today's age of where it was. You know, you could start your car now from inside your house. By the time you get to your car, it's nicely idle. The aircon has been on for 2 minutes. Technology has moved on along. So it's very important for us to also keep abreast of it. But luckily for us, there's this wonderful non-profit organization called Visa, who's been working with authorities, who's been working with insurance companies, and have really gone about to come up with ways to make sure vehicle security is of the highest standard. And really, at the end of the day, empowering you, the everyday consumer. So tonight, we are very privileged and thrilled to be joined by Philip Bromley, who is with us in the studio. There's Philip Bromley. Good evening. Welcome to Mahala Monday. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very well, thank you.
Lovely. No, it's great to have you here. Normally when it's a blue Monday, it's a bit of a black Monday because we're all wearing dark colors. But because we want to talk about all of this thing. But firstly, tell us what's Visa.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. So Visa is an acronym for the Vehicle Security Association of South Africa. It was founded in 1987. And the reason that it came into being was because South Africa had a problem in vehicle security. Cars were getting stolen and the OEMs were not actually putting any security systems in. And Visa it was founded by the South African Insurance Association, NAMSA, and the electronic companies that were actually making security systems for the vehicles. Visa became the standard setter and the monitoring of new technologies to actually combat the crime as it happened. And effectively, since 1987, a lot of the vehicles have actually improved their security. So there's not a need for you might remember the old gear locks. And the vehicle clamps that you put on your steering wheel.
And you had one for the gear.
So that we've sort of moved on a little bit from there, and we've now got electronic systems that will then protect the vehicles. So Visa's actually evolved, and obviously now the big one is vehicle tracking, so and recovery, and the systems that are put into vehicles, so when they do get stolen, they can be tracked and recovered. But as we get better at combating it, so the thieves get better with their technology, and they advance their technology in terms of how they can combat what we're trying to do to actually get the vehicles back. And obviously the insurers are looking for protection, and it's their risk, and they actually want to spend less money on stolen vehicles.
Yes.
And you know, Visa's had a huge impact in terms of stopping the theft in the country over the years.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And continues to do that, and we're continually advancing the standards and the specifications to react to some of the new technologies that are out there and being used to steal vehicles.
So just going back to what you were saying, like, you know, so Visa, the organization, is kind of setting the standard in
Correct.
terms of these are the things that is happening right now. So all cars should at least have X, Y, and Z, the following 3 or 4 things. In terms of setting the standard, the automobile manufacturers, do they then also buy into this?
They do. We do work with NAMSA, which is the organization, the umbrella organization of the OEMs, the Mercedes and the BMWs and now the Suzukis and the Havals and all the other companies that are out there. But I think what Visa does is it provides a protection for the consumer as well. When you go and the insurer says you've got to put a tracking system in, or you've got to put an alarm immobilizer in, when you go and put that into your brand new vehicle that you bought and it's your pride and joy, you want to make sure that the product that's going to go in there is not going to set fire to your vehicle, it's not going to damage your vehicle, but secondly, the person that's actually putting it in is trained and knows what they're doing, so that when you have the confidence of going in there and knowing that the product is, not only the product is good, but the technician that's putting it in is qualified as well to do it.
Sure.
And that's what Visa does. It's sort of an umbrella organization that goes and trains the fitters, it sets the standards, and at the end of the day, you have the confidence of something that's going to protect you as best it can.
Yeah. I love the fact that you said the gear locks. And I had the one over my steering wheel.
I think we all had
I
one.
think
in
everyone
the
I had.
And do you also sometimes struggle with that curly one that you sometimes...
Yeah, I had that.
Oh, my
And they had like a little
word.
curly
Yes.
thing on the, like a little
Just don't
pigtail.
lose your key.
Yeah. Yeah. I had that too. But technology has now certainly moved on quite a bit. But also then the criminals or people that go out to steal cars, they've also stepped up their game.
Yes. No, they have. And technology is one of those things that just keeps advancing. And the crooks advance, and so do the OEMs and the guys that are trying to develop means to protect the vehicles.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's a fight. It's a constant battle to ensure that everybody we stay ahead of the crooks.
Yeah. So the question becomes, how does Visa then manage to successfully meet the challenges of vehicle security? Because this is ever changing.
Well, I think so if I explain how Visa is made up, Visa is made up of all the manufacturers and the main service providers in the vehicle security industry.
Oh.
So and the standards are set by them. And
Okay.
it might sound that it's sort of collusive. It's not really collusive, because those are the brains, and those are the brains trusts that understand exactly what's going on. And they want to, and I think that's, I'm an engineer, I was trained as an engineer. I want to make sure that whatever product I'm putting into the marketplace is of a high enough standard, and it meets standards that are world class. And that's what Visa does. It actually it sets minimum standards. They're not punitory. They are standards minimum standards that are needed to be able to operate in whatever market it is, whether it's vehicle tracking, whether it's the gear locks, and there are still guys selling gear locks, the alarm immobilizers, and those sort of products. And as I say, it's giving the consumer the confidence that their vehicle, their pride and joy is not going to be damaged in the process, and giving the insurers the confidence that their risk that they are investing in is protected.
Protected.
And so it's a combination. And we work with NAMSA. NAMSA, obviously, whenever you make a product, it's your pride and joy. We go into the vehicles and we have to do things to those vehicles, and they don't like it a lot of the time, but we work with them and we try and do it as best and seamlessly as we possibly can. But the reality is that the OEMs can't sell vehicles if there isn't security to look after them. So when you go and finance a vehicle, they say, "Where's your insurance?"
Yeah.
And if the insurer is not prepared to insure the vehicle, then you're not going to be able to get the finance. So it's a symbiotic relationship where everybody sort of operates and has a role to play, and Visa has a role in making sure that the standards are upheld to ensure that the people that are putting those products in and are developing those products are setting a bar and a level that needs to happen.
Just quickly, I know you got another question, Dougal, but I do believe we got a comment that we'll be flashing there. Let's just see what the comment is about. Hubert. Hey, Mr. Hubert. Oh, yes, by the way, before I actually go into that little comment there, I do believe it's Hubert's birthday today. So Hubert is actually one of our star people. He's here every week.
Birthday today.
It's his birthday today. So Hubert, happy birthday to you. There we go, all your balloons. Happy birthday. We won't go on your age at this stage.
Happy birthday, Hubert.
There we go.
Happy birthday,
happy birthday. So Hubert's comment there. Good evening, guys, and hello, Philip. Signal jammers don't make noise, but they speak volumes in loss. Criminals use tech too. We have to beat them with awareness. Thank you, Mr. Hubert.
Wise older man.
He's always got these wise comments. That's Hubert. You're showing your age now, Hubert.
Age beyond his years.
Definitely.
But Hubert does make a very, very valid point there.
Yeah, I think he makes and it's one of the things that we really are doing today is making people aware. What I'm going to do is we're going to have a look at some of the technologies that are being utilized out there, and I think the more awareness there is in the street and in the public of what they can do to protect themselves from it and be aware of what is happening is I think it's very advantageous to everybody at the end of the day.
Because we were talking off air about how things have moved on in terms of just the technology that exists in cars today. Because today you can start your car from inside your house as you approach the car, or you can open your boot while you're still walking to the car, close your windows, go. You can do a whole array, and that's great technology because it's brilliantly convenient for me, but it's also it allows people with other ideas to do something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's an advancement if we talk about the gear lock, and that was very successful in those days. A bit clunky, but it worked really well. Then we got alarm immobilizer systems, which also worked really well, but the thieves were able to navigate their way around those, and they stole the vehicles. Then we had tracking systems that we were putting in. Every time we have a jump, it's because there's the thieves start utilizing a different technology to overcome what it is that we're putting in to protect the vehicles. And I think that there's a lot of technology now that's being utilized to steal vehicles, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of what's happening.
I want to put that out there because some of the viewers, you might have a question or you might have a comment relating to that, whether that is a possibility or that sort of thing. Then definitely put it in, because I want to talk about why we must make sure that whenever security upgrades or whatever we do to our vehicle, let's say after we bought it or if it's new, why we should make sure that it's got that sort of, I want to say Visa approved or accreditation for that matter. But I want to say this, just to what I said a moment ago about if you've got a question, because I heard the story many years ago. Okay, I don't know how true it is. And when I say I heard it, it's probably a story I made up. But the point is that somebody could unlock a car that had central locking or something with half a tennis ball. That they would cut the ball in half or a plunger or something, and will cause some sort of suction. You will go where you put the key, you will do there, and you will suck, or whether it was a plunge or something.
So some of the early systems were pneumatic.
Yeah.
So it was actually air pressure that unlocked the car. So when you put the tennis ball in and you hit it, it actually sent a wave of air through and it unlocked the car.
So it
That's not, we don't do that anymore. Now it's a lot more sophisticated.
Yeah, we've moved on quite a bit from this primitive sort of thing.
But yes, I mean that was a great one. The tennis ball on the it was a good party trick.
Yeah.
But I'm not aware of any vehicles nowadays that have pneumatic central locking.
Yeah, no, that is that. So it is very important for us, should we purchase a car. Now, obviously, if it's a brand new car, I as a consumer can work on the assumption that it's sort of visa approved to what is in the car. The onus would still be on me, I assume, to double check.
So when you go and buy your vehicle, I mean, the first time you're going to sort of you're going to come across it is you want insurance, and the insurer is going to say, I need something put in. And nowadays, generally, if it's over 200,000 Rand, they're going to want a tracking system put in. What we're seeing now is the Fortuners and the Hiluxes, the expensive ones, they want 2 tracking systems put in because of the scourge of theft that's happening at the moment. So that's where it starts. Then you have to go to a fitment center, or you get given some of the insurers have programs with some of the tracking companies. You will be directed to putting a tracking system into your vehicle. And what we're saying is that, you know, Visa sets standards because it's important that you as a customer must firstly know that the product has been tested and is a valid product. It's been fitted by a technician that has qualifications and is monitored, because the Visa sends technicians. We've got TIs that go, technical inspectors that go out to all the fitment centers and check that the guys actually know what they're doing. And then the third thing is that there's a comeback. If you've got a complaint, Visa is ISO 9001 approved, and it has a system where you can bring a complaint in, and the Visa will investigate the complaint and take action against the fitment center or the tracking service provider, or whoever it is that has actually not done their job at the end of the day. So I always say that, you know, to have there's almost a wheel that gets closed with that ombudsman element that's there. There's the specifications, setting the specifications, testing against specifications, the fitment, the training, and the ombudsman, and that's what Visa does. It's an organization that does all of those aspects in the marketplace.
Now having this, because it makes perfect sense since an insurance company will be taking on the risk that they want everything and the kitchen sink thrown in terms of making sure that the risk is covered to the best of its possible ability. That makes sense. Are we at a point where legislation needs to step in? Because I get the sense, and I'm assuming that most vehicles on the South African road wouldn't have any sort of security system whatsoever, except, you know, let's say vehicles that are pre-2012.
I think right now we don't have legislation in South Africa around the security systems that are put into the vehicles. If you have a look, if you go overseas, and I think it's always a good thing to go and look at Europe, they are starting to insist it's now a requirement to put tracking systems into vehicles. So there's a lot of monitoring that gets done, you know, overspeeding, collision replays, that sort of thing that are done overseas. Here in South Africa, the insurers are the guys that actually are driving it. They need a system put in that's going to mitigate their risk in terms of insuring your vehicle. So if it's stolen, that it's recovered. In Visa, the recovery rate the minimum recovery rate is 80%. So if you're not meeting 80%, so Visa actually monitors every vehicle tracking company, and if they're not meeting an 80% recovery rate, they get a Dear Johnny. And if they've got 3 months to fix it, and if they don't fix it, they get scrapped and taken off the panel. So it's really important that this monitoring is happening on an ongoing basis, and that's what Visa does. And it gives the insurers a comfort that their risk is being mitigated better than it was without it.
And I was actually I'm just sitting here thinking now, probably a light bulb moment as well, because the amount of money we're spending on insurance itself, obviously, I mean, it's motor vehicle insurance, you know, your content, especially motor vehicle insurance, it is extremely high. So obviously, I would think that if you do basically paying insurance, if insurance have to pay back, they have to make sure that they obviously covered, because if you got a company that's not meeting at 80% and they're taking money from you, because besides your insurance, you're paying this as well. So there has to be somebody in between that's obviously watching this and saying, watchdog, boop, boop, tap you on your fingers. So that was my light bulb moment. Well done, Visa, well done.
Yeah, I think it's important that as a consumer you have a comfort and that you can believe and trust the standard.
Beautiful.
And that's what Visa does.
Wow.
It's a non-profit organization as well. It's not a commercially.
Wow.
It's not trying to make money. It's there as a service to the insurers and the public.
Beautiful.
Now, obviously, a couple of years ago, when you mentioned it off air, there was this remarkable movie with Nicolas Cage, Gone in 60 Seconds, which I'm sure everybody here fairly familiar with, and how quickly it was possible.
Really
now,
quick.
Just based on that movie, obviously, I mean, there was technology used in it because there were certain different cars that they were sort of nicking at during the course of that screening. But the point is, the technology has moved on. And although we would now jokingly refer to it, so where do we find ourselves now? Because you've brought some toys and gadgets with you. So where are we now? What's happening now?
I think we'll go through some of the details, but the reality is tracking has been very successful in dropping the number of stolen, not recovered vehicles. So if I go back and look at the stats in 2000 when we started, there are not as many vehicles being stolen and not recovered now than there were then.
Wow.
So it is making a difference. However, what we're seeing now is that the level of technology that's coming behind the combating is causing a little bit of an uptick in the favor of the crooks at the moment. So we're looking at ways of combating it, and that's why you need an organization like Visa, where you can put the brains trust in that industry together to say, what can we do? And there's a lot of guys working on some really, really good stuff to counteract. And there's some products out there in the market that are beating the thieves. I mean, everybody knows, I'm sure, what vehicle tracking is all about. It's a box that gets fitted into your vehicle. I know everybody says, well, the insurer says I must put it in there, but it actually has a lot of value to you as an individual. You know, you've got your 18-year-old that's just got his driver's license and he borrows your car. Well, you can say, why are you overspeeding? Because it comes up on your phone. So, and if your wife is coming back from a dangerous area, you can monitor them coming back. So tracking isn't all about the insurer. There's a lot of value to the individuals in terms of our lives and how we want to protect our family there. So what we're seeing is happening now is that the trend sort of changes, and there's a thing called a scanner, and this is a scanner, and I use this because I bought this on the internet for $350.
Wow.
And you switch it on, and basically, so what we're seeing now is there's a lot of hijacking going on. A lot of the vehicle thefts are actually cases of hijacking. One, they can get the keys, but what they tend to do is they quite often kidnap the driver, and they will drive around because they know that the tracking system is communicating. They use one of these, and as they go around, it will make a buzz when it sees I've switched my phone off, but if I showed you, it would actually make a noise as I went up to the phone. They then strip the panel. They get the tracking systems out, and they go around the vehicle until they think they've got all of them. Stop in a quiet area, kick the driver out, go to another quiet area, unplug all of these systems, and then throw it out the window, and then drive off. Now the vehicle can't be tracked, and it's unlikely that you're actually going to recover that vehicle. So we, as the business that I'm involved in, we actually developed a tamper immobilizer. So fundamentally, we put special electronics into the system. So as soon as they unplugged the unit, threw it out the window, the vehicle stopped. So they couldn't actually drive the vehicle anymore. So these are things that we do to actually try and combat. And we develop, as an industry, we're developing these to make it happen. So then the upgrade from that, and we'll show you. I'll show you on a table a thing that again, I'm unfortunately, I mean, I have to say I bought this on the internet. It's a three channel jammer. It'll jam if I switch it on. It's going to kill your phones. It's going to kill the GPS in the vehicle. So you can actually go and put it on in the vehicle. Then we, as a tracking company, can't track that vehicle. It's dead. And I mean, to try and conceptualize so the viewers understand what jamming is, if I have a high pressure hose and I stand here and I try and squirt you, it's going to be very sore. It's going to make a hole in you. But if we get into a swimming pool and you stand a couple of meters away and I pull the trigger, you might feel a little tickle, but you're not going to get the full force of it. What the jammer is, it's just putting RF noise in a bubble around the vehicle. And the tracking system can't communicate out, and nothing can communicate in. And that's effectively what they're doing. And they're using systems like this to do it. We are working on anti-jamming solutions, and there's some very, very nice thieves that have actually put Facebook posts of this is how we jam a vehicle. So we've learned a lot from the thieves as to how they do it. So we watch them, and we now know, and we are putting countermeasures in to stop the thieves getting the benefit of a jammer.
Because I've heard this story a lot, and I'm sure you have as well. Like where people say, like, you know, well, I've got, you know, my vehicle. And in fact, the one that is outside, I want to go check if it's still there. It's you know, remoteless entry. So you walk away, and you know, you've locked it, and you walked away. Now, me locking, there's apparently thieves and crooks wandering parking lots that's jamming my car, talking or at least the key, but talking to the car so it doesn't lock, and then they go in. Is that what's happening?
So we call it remote jamming. I don't know whether we can get the slide up. So your common gate remotes, your garage remotes, what the guys do is they stand in the car park and they press the button and they hold the button down. Now, if you're not observing your vehicle and you don't sit there and you push the button and see that the lights flash to say that it's locked, you can push your button and it actually won't lock, because this guy is actually jamming the area, and your communication will not get to the vehicle to lock the car. So you go into the mall and you come out and everything's been stolen out of the vehicle, out the boot and everything else. You say, but I locked my car. Well, make sure that you are watching the car. Make sure that when you press that button that the lights flash to lock it. When it's locked, it's locked. But if the guy's jamming in the area, if you haphazardly try and lock your vehicle and you're not consciously checking that it's locked, you might find that it isn't locked, and they will strip your vehicle.
Sure.
While you're gone.
And that is one of the common ones?
That is a very, certainly, it's a very common one at all the shopping malls. I was speaking to somebody the other day that, in fact, they had such a powerful jammer that it covered the whole parking lot, and they couldn't actually find who it was. He couldn't lock his car. He was right there at the car, trying to lock the car, and he couldn't lock his car. So just be aware of it. There are some malls that actually have alerts, the alarms that go off when there's somebody trying to jam in the area. But I think it's very important that you ensure that your vehicle is locked when you leave it, and just make sure that you watch the lights flash.
You said there was a picture that we're going to display where you actually got a vehicle with all these jammers in it. One vehicle?
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll show you. Okay, so
Yeah, that one.
so this picture it's a horror story. It was in KZN. There was it was a stolen X5. These guys it was a syndicate of car thieves, and they were chased by the cops, and eventually they had an accident. They arrested the 4 guys inside there, and they took all of this equipment out of the vehicle. And the horrifying thing is, anybody who knows what you're looking at there, those are all the tools of the trade.
What?
Those are the tools of the trade that the guys are using to steal the vehicles. And we'll show you a video a little bit later, but these guys can do it. They can overcome a locked stationary vehicle in
Wow.
1.5 minutes with these sort of tools. So these are things that obviously the guys know how to use them. That green thing with all the aerials, that's a scanner. That's a 16-channel scanner. So this is only a 3-channel scanner.
So the green one is a big boy of this.
That's a big.
It's a big,
Big. That's the
big mama.
the grandfather.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is that people can buy these things on the internet.
Oh.
It's illegal. It is totally illegal to own one in South Africa. It's ICASA. If ICASA caught you with one, you'd get arrested and you can get convicted. In fact, the police, we've done some training with the police so that they know what they're looking for. Because if you find that in somebody's vehicle, if they haven't got a permit for it, they are committing a crime and they can be arrested.
Wow.
Sure.
So and that's what we need to do. But unfortunately, they are freely available. There are some stores that you can actually even buy them in over the counter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sure.
Well, we've got a comment or two. Let's just touch base with that for a moment. We continue our discussion with Philip. Hubert says, how can we strengthen public education around growing the threat, and what role can Visa play in supporting collaborative efforts between law enforcement, community initiatives to combat this crime? Thank you, Hubert.
Well, thanks to Hubert, he's created quite a few avenues to actually go and spread the word. And so we've the presentation that I've given it to some community policing forums. We've given it to the Western Cape Safety and Security. We've had other meetings. The idea is that we need to make more and more people aware of what they're looking at, and when they can see, when they know what they're looking at. So if a cop comes and he sees one of these, he can arrest the person, and they've got to be trained in terms of what they're looking for. And they need to arrest the people that are actually carrying these types of devices.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, even the prosecuting authority, I've been talking to the prosecuting authority in KZN, their big problem is even the prosecutors don't know what they're looking at. So when they see something like that, they said, well, what does it do? You know, and if they're going to go to court, the defense are more equipped to counter the prosecuting authorities, and the prosecuting authorities are at convicting, putting these guys away because they don't know what it is that they're looking at.
Sure.
So it is an education. It is educating the prosecutors, the police, and all the law enforcement authorities, and also making the public aware of what to be concerned about.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot to digest. There's a lot going on.
Oh, there was it.
Karen
Giss says, read about that. Hence, I was always lock and check before I walk away, especially at balls.
That's good.
That's what everybody needs to do.
That is absolutely wonderful. Now, earlier you said we got a short video to look at. Before we do, quickly explain to us, what are we looking at?
So this is a video, and in fact, it was in Sandton in Joburg, and there is a shock factor here, because I think people are going to be horrified at at the speed at which this occurs. It's a Ford Ranger that was parked, and in the video you'll see the thieves come up in a red car, and they park next to the car, and you can see the lights flashing and that car driving away. And I think in the time it's about 1 minute and 30 seconds that they, from arriving at the vehicle, overcoming the security to get into the vehicle, overcoming the security to start the vehicle, and driving away in it.
Minute and a half.
A minute and a half.
Yeah. Are we going to play that video?
All right, so here we go. There's the red car.
So the red car comes in, it's sussing out, it's waiting for the people to go. There's a car that leaves. So now you can sort of start. Now he parks next to the vehicle. They get out the car, and you'll see the lights flash just now as they manage to overcome the security in the vehicle. There you go. They're into the car.
And this is not done via scanners, or?
It's a whole lot of equipment. It's obviously knowledge. They've got knowledge of it's not a scanner as a receiver. These are more sophisticated things. There you see the cars disappearing. So to do that, they had to overcome the security to get into the vehicle. Then they had to overcome the security that stopped the engine starting. Wow. So all the new vehicles have got these RF, and only if the key is encoded to the vehicle itself will it allow you to start the vehicle. And they basically overcoming both of those security measures with equipment that they've got to steal.
Sure.
So some of it on that table, that's some of the equipment that they
would use
to overcome it.
So just quickly just quickly before we go to the next video, I know there's another video that we want to look at. So that obviously is what they would have used as a combination of opening the doors and then getting to obviously start the vehicle as well. So just these guys, and I know we spoke off air also regarding arresting them, and obviously they got out on bail. There was a difference you could actually see after these guys was arrested? Because I mean, this is on another level.
That table of equipment that was taken from these 4 guys that were arrested. Unfortunately, they went to court, and the magistrate let them out on bail, and they didn't come back for their court case. Once all of that equipment was taken, we could see a drop in the level of crime in KZN. This was in KZN, and after they'd been back on the streets a while, it started going up again. And we can actually see the cycles. You arrest a syndicate, it drops, and then they get out, and then it picks up again. So we need to educate the prosecuting authority. We need them to understand that these guys, we can't let them back on the streets. They've got to be held.
Exactly.
I'm just feeling sorry for that. What we saw in the video for the bakkie owner, because they didn't really do anything wrong there, except just go to the wrong place at the wrong time, I suppose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But there goes your bakkie.
So in a lot of those cases, when they steal them, if the tracking system works, we can actually recover those vehicles.
Okay.
So we can actually get those vehicles. Sometimes there's a chase involved, but a lot of those vehicles can be recovered. The jammers are making less of them, or accounting for less recoveries. So that's why we're putting other countermeasures in to try and overcome the jammers.
Wow.
Sure.
But I think there's another one where there's the fob relay system. So a lot of the viewers would have those vehicles which they totally keyless. So you got the key in your car, and you go and grab the handle, and it unlocks the door. So you don't even have to push a button. One must understand that overseas, everything is made to ease everybody's life. So their life becomes easier. So they put these measures for the convenience of the new owners. But the problem is with that the fob relay, what actually happens is your key is a little RF. It doesn't have a physical key that goes in, and that key has to be in the presence of the vehicle to be able to start the vehicle or open the vehicle. And what these guys are doing is the one guy has got it's like a little laptop that he has, but what it is it's a transmitter. It's a reader and a transmitter. So if you're in the mall and you're walking into the mall, this guy follows you with his laptop over his shoulder. He follows you into the mall. When you're far enough in the mall and you're engaged in the mall, he contacts his mate. His mate is back at the vehicle with a transmitter. You pick up the laptop picks up the signal from your remote in your pocket or in your bag, and it relays it back to the guy. He can then get into your car and he can start your car and he can drive away in your car.
And the car thinks that the key is there.
Exactly. So it thinks the key is there because it's being transmitted there.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of relay, what we call the relay theft. So they're taking the fob, and you know, for people that live close to the street, they might put their keys on the hall table at the front door, and they think that everything's fine. Well, the guy walks up to your front door and he holds the relay, and the guys at the car opens your car and drives off in your car. So I've brought this as an example. I've labelled it a Faraday box, but it's a box. You can buy it. I'm not selling it. This one I bought on Take-A-Lot. And what you can do is you can actually put your key into the box, close it up, and put it on the hall table, and the guy won't be able to steal your car in the front. So it's you know, people that are concerned, people that do have the front door very close to the street and near their car, and their car's outside, you can get something like that. The term is Faraday. So if you get a Faraday cage, in the sort of sciences we talk about Faraday cages, which actually block out all RF. This is a Faraday box for you to keep your keys and anything that needs to be protected.
And it's a sort of a very fine mesh.
Yeah.
Like a metal.
It's fundamentally it's a mesh of metal that's inside there that stops the RF from going out. You get pouches. I'm not. Some will be happy, but what you can do is you can get this, and so when you.
And that's our Faraday pouch.
So this is a pouch, and you can put your key into the pouch, and you can close it up and put it in your pocket. So when you're walking around the center, you can actually do that. So there are Faraday pouches, there are Faraday boxes for whatever. This is obviously your mobile protection. That's while you're at home.
Okay.
And yeah, I think we'll show a video of these guys. You know, obviously the owners came in, put the key on the hall table in the front. They came up and they were able to unlock the car and steal the car without the owner even knowing.
Sure.
Wow. And yeah, it is.
There it is, yeah.
Okay,
so the two guys coming up, and the one on the left has got what looks like a laptop. He holds it at the front door. You see how quickly it is? The guy's got the transmitter.
He's inside.
He's inside, and off they go. He goes back.
He didn't even give his buddy a lift.
No, he's in the car that he came in.
That was that was like seconds.
So it's very quick. So these are things, and at Visa, I know that the insurers are very worried about this technology. So there are some of the Visa technology developers that are actually working on countermeasures.
Wow.
All right.
So I think that's why, I mean, it's important to have an organization like Visa with the stature of the members and the stature and the commitment to the public and the insurance industry to ensure that we can overcome this new technology. That's out
Where else do you see it going? Because if I can take you back to the gear lock times and the steering wheel lock times with a little pigtail thing, that would have been unheard of. Where do you see this going in terms of what criminals will do years from now?
When I was growing up, they said the jobs, that we were going to do hadn't even been invented yet. So our parents didn't actually have a clue what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Well, what we're doing wasn't invented when we were small. So it's quite difficult to see what's going to happen. I think one of the big risks at the moment is with your electronic vehicles, your EVs.
Yeah.
There's a big problem because they're basically computers. And one of the things that we've learned is that they are stopping using Bluetooth to connect to the vehicle, because Bluetooth becomes a link into the brains of the vehicle, so that they can actually hijack the vehicle through that. So I think what is going to be next, I don't know what's going to be next, but we've got to have countermeasures to try and stop. I think the other element that's got to improve is the prosecution. We need to be prosecuting. We need to be putting these guys behind bars. We need to have more law enforcement ensuring that there isn't a fertile ground for this level of criminal technology to grow.
Wow.
And we see it. It grows, and it's bad. We kill it and it stops, and then it grows again. So we've got to make sure that there's not a fertile ground to...
And especially how things are changing, like you said, in terms of EVs, the electrical vehicles. And I mean, everybody is talking about autonomous driving and, and a sort of these sort of thing. If we look at where we are with artificial intelligence and everything, and all these things are going to merge, it's quite scary, because having a look at that last video, I mean, that's proper scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, that one was overseas. It wasn't in South Africa.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much relay, but certainly in South Africa. But it's around. It's around. It's going to be there, and especially with the new types of vehicles where you don't even have to press a button to unlock. It's in your pocket, and you put your hand over the handle, and it unlocks the car, and you can just open it.
Let me ask you this, Philip, regardless of the brand of car, because certain brands and certain manufacturers will do certain things to their cars to set them apart from their competitors. Are the auto manufacturers doing enough to safeguard the consumer?
I think what we have to understand in South Africa is that we are not the makers, we're not the manufacturers or the developers of the vehicles. And they develop for another market. We're a tiny market in the global sphere. So we have to appreciate that most of the technology is developed overseas for an overseas market. It's very difficult for us to dictate to the OEMs to change it for South Africa. So we have to, and that's why Visa comes into play, because it's an aftermarket security device. So Visa can mitigate the risk through aftermarket. So the relay fob, the fob relay system, I know that there are very smart guys in South Africa that are developing countermeasures to stop that. Okay, and that's being done through the Visa network of engineers and manufacturers.
Sure.
Wow.
I think there's a comment, Dougal. I just wanted to see if somebody made a comment there. Is that again? What's it?
Says, thanks for sharing all the info about the equipment. We'll check it out. It's Karo Kiss. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For that as well. Yeah, you definitely got to educate yourself, because that is literally what I want to steer the conversation. Apart from being vigilant, being a little bit more aware. And making sure when we lock it, don't do this, and you didn't hear beep beep or whatever, make sure you see it and hear it and all of that. What else is there that we can do? Because looking at that video, Ahmed and I have to get up in the middle of the night 3 times, and that's not for bathroom breaks.
Look, I think there are some vehicles that are more susceptible than others, and some with weaker security systems. The insurers are pretty averse to, pretty au fait with the types of vehicles and where the risk, they're greater risks. So they are working with some of our guys to actually develop countermeasures for specific vehicle makes. And I think, if you are concerned, if you're in a high risk area, there are things that you can do. They're OEM upgrades to security systems that Visa has certified. There's other systems that you can put in that actually give you a more a better chance of not being a victim of crime. So I think depending, I mean, some people say, well, I'm insured, you know, if it's stolen, it's stolen, and I get paid out. But I think there are people that will put security in because they can't afford the insurance. Maybe they're only going for the balance of third-party insurance. So they don't want to lose their vehicle. It's their livelihood, and you know, let's face it. If your vehicle gets stolen, it doesn't get replaced tomorrow. There's a whole process that goes through, and you might be without a vehicle for 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and if it's your livelihood, then you know you. So I think we as consumers, as drivers, need to be more cognizant of ensuring that we protect our vehicles better. Obviously, we don't leave things that are visible from outside, because that's what the crooks are going to do. They're going to, if you leave your laptop on your back seat at the mall or somewhere, the chances are somebody's going to break the window or find a way in to steal it. So I think we owe it to ourselves, and I think one of the cultures in some of the insurance, the long term and the short term, is they're saying if you look after your asset or your body, we're going to look after you, and there's a reward for looking after. So I think there are countermeasures that people can take that will better protect them in against the crimes that are there. I think observing when you're driving, so that you don't become a hijack victim, things like just being aware of people that are in your rearview mirror, being aware of not such savoury areas. When you're turning into your driveway, don't turn in until the gate's open. Make sure that you because if you turn in and you've got the gate there, they're going to block you, and then they've got their guns and stuff. But if you stand in this middle of the road, wait for the gate to open, drive in and stop just inside the gate and make sure that locks after you. That's if you're in a very bad area or you're suspicious of people. Those are things that you can do to better protect yourself. That and they, you know, the thieves are trying. They're lazy as well. They want the easy pickings. So don't be an easy picking. If you are a little bit more vigilant, you're not an easy pick.
Yeah.
And the guys are going to move on. They're going to take somebody else.
Wow.
Sure.
Wow. And my final question, really, because, and really, I know, thank you, because we have stolen a little bit of extra of your time. So thank you for that. But are we making progress? Because clearly, all these things that's happening from the Visa side is definitely trying to make people more aware, making all the role players within the automotive industry, as well as insurance and the authorities, more aware of what's coming. Are we making inroads? Are we?
You know, I think it's a collective effort. I think when we were talking off screen, you said that, you know, the South Africans, we've got a lot of really good South Africans, and we're quite resilient as South Africans. We're good at fighting and fighting back. And I think what's really nice, and with Business Against Crime and the E2 project and some of the initiatives there, some of the private enterprise that's coming in, there's the SAIAs, the Insurance Association, are looking at crime and anti-crime measures. There's the South African Insurance Crime Bureau. There's Visa. Wow. You need we can't all do it on our own. We need to collaborate. We need to work together to make sure that we have an ecosystem that is better protected. And I think that's really what we're all trying to do. We're all working towards the same goal. And if we can get more collaboration with the authorities and better communication and awareness, I think we'll do a lot better.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, Philip, what can I say? It's
well informed.
Yeah. No, it is. Philip, would love to thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure. Well, thank you for allowing us to communicate. I think it's and make more people aware.
Yeah. Gotta love this guy. For Cairo, thank you for putting this. Says, don't drive the same route more than a week. Yep, check the rear view regularly. I reverse into my driveway so I can just drive out. You cannot be too comfy.
Oh, wow.
And that's that
There we
last
go.
part that is so important. Don't be too comfy. Don't be complacent in any sort of way. Hubert says, Visa continues to lead the way in setting national standards and driving awareness around critical threats like vehicle jamming and Business Against Crime. Fully support Philip and Visa in their efforts to protect SA. So there you have it. Yeah, no,
beautiful.
Thank you for that. And it is that collaborative effort that
is the magic word.
That makes a huge difference. So Philip Bromley, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for staying a little extra time with us. Yeah, see,
We
people like staying with Rhoda.
I was going to say, we stole some time there.
But thank you very much. We wish you all the best and good luck with everything.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. So there you have it. So you got to check it out. As Philip said, make sure that the security that you have with your vehicle, that it is sort of Visa approved. That is it. And the onus is really on us as drivers, as consumers, that we do that. And you can be rest assured that it meets the standard if it is Visa approved. So it is fitted in properly, and it's the system that is placed in your vehicle, your security system, is up to standard. It will work in the way it's prescribed to work. And this is super important. So it does give you an extra sort of a peace of mind. Also earlier, and I forgot to ask Philip that, but we were also talking about a micro dotting. And that's also a very effective way to do things. And I remember him saying that as well, which is brilliant. So yeah, even if your car is chopped up into different parts, you can sort of get the parts back, and you can. Yeah, they might look different, but it's your original part. And that's the thing. But more importantly, be aware. Be aware of your surroundings. Make sure, as always, you look after yourself, but not just yourself. Also look out for the next guy. That is very important. That is super important. Your Rhoda, what can I say? Gone in 60 seconds. It was gone in quick.
I was going to say that. It wasn't even 60 seconds. The second video wasn't even 60 seconds. But just quickly, if you need to get hold of the Visa, you basically go to the website. I think we had it on the screen there as well, www.visa.co.za, and get in contact with them if you're wanting to find out more about them. And you know what is Philip all about? That is there. There's a contact number as well. And just making 100% sure if you do have a tracking system or anything on your vehicle, if you want to clear it with them, make sure that it's Visa compliant. You can contact them.
Definitely, it is really important. And just so you know that Visa Success in Preventing Crime, the organization has been appointed as the official vehicle security standards generating body by the SABS, as you know, the South African Bureau of Standards. So there you have it. And of course, you find all the details, like Rhoda said, just simply go to the website, which is www.visa.co.za. That wraps it up from us.
That wraps it up for us today.
So, we're heading into the week of Easter. It's Easter eggs, hot cross buns, and all sorts of things that is nice and fantastic and awesome. And of course, some added family time. So, which results in us not being here next week Monday.
That's right. We're taking a break for the next, I think it's 2 weeks to go. 2 Mondays we will not be here. But don't forget, guys, we actually do have other shows that you could actually just go and have a look at. And I do believe the social media guys is actually going to put some videos together, which I'm a bit worried about. But keep an eye open for that on social media.
I worry about them.
Exactly, because they've had a few videos of ours out already that was very funny. So keep your eye open. We will basically be still on your social media, and we will entertain you there as well.
So they're going to put
I don't know,
videos that's trying to embarrass myself and you.
Is as good as
That's what they're going to do.
As usual.
The thing is, I know a guy
Is that so?
who knows a guy who can make sure they don't get here with their cars. I just spoke to him a moment ago. But Philip Bromley is not going to help me. He'll help the other guys.
In his magic box.
He'll help the other guy. But thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your time, of course, with your family as we head over to the Easter time. And especially if you're on the roads, please do so safely and look after yourselves and everybody around. As always, please remember, like and share this. And we will see you then in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time, we'll see you with... no, It's 3 weeks time.
Oh, sorry, 3 weeks time.
In
2
3
weeks
weeks
we're
time.
off. So
We'll
in
see you in 3 weeks time
we'll see
for
you.
the next Mahala
Mahala
Monday.
Monday. Yes.
Thanks again to our guests. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.